Your test covers sections 3.1, 3.2, and 3.3. For the first part of your review or your test practice, you're given functions. You're asked to find whether or not it opens up or down. You're asked to find the vertex, the axis of symmetry, which is just the x value from your vertex, your maximum or your minimum value, which is the y value from your vertex. You also have to circle whether or not it's a maximum or a minimum, your domain, your range, your x-intercept, and your y-intercept. So if we look at the first function that's given to us, we have f of x is equal to 2x squared plus x minus 3. This power of 2 tells you that you have a u. The 2, that's your a, is positive, so this is opening up. Your vertex we can find by finding h and k. H we say is negative b over 2a, and k is c minus b squared over 4a. Your a is 2, your b is 1, and your c is negative 3. So you're going to plug these in to find your vertex. So your h is going to be the opposite of 1 over 2 times 2. So that's the opposite of 1 is negative 1 over 2 times 2, which is 4. So h is equal to 4. Your k is equal to c, which is negative 3, minus that b squared, so 1 squared over 4 times a, which is 2. So that's going to give us negative 3 over 1 minus 1 over 8. We got to multiply top and bottom of that first fraction by 8. So that's going to give us a k of negative 24 minus 1 over 8. So that's negative 25 over 8. So our vertex is the ordered pair h comma k. So that's just going to be the ordered pair, negative 1/4 comma negative 25 over 8. Again, your axis of symmetry is the x value from your vertex. So that just means that its x is equal to negative 1/4. Your maximum or minimum value is the y value from your vertex. So that's going to be y is equal to negative 25 over 8. We have to circle whether or not it's a maximum or minimum. Our vertex is our lowest point because our graph opens up. So that's a minimum. Your domain comes from your power. Your power of this is 2, so your domain is automatically all real numbers. So in interval notation, that's just from negative infinity to positive infinity. Then your range, again, look to see which way this opens and what your maximum or your minimum point is. Your minimum value is the negative 25 over 8, which means your graph or your line goes up from there. So your range is going to be from negative 25 over 8 to positive infinity. X-intercepts, again, that's when y is 0. So if we plug the 0 in for y and solve, we're going to have 2x squared plus x minus 3 is equal to 0. Your 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. Your factors of negative 6 that add up to positive 1 are negative 2 and positive 3. So we're going to rewrite that as 2x squared minus 2x plus 3x minus 3 is equal to 0. And we're going to solve that by grouping, or factor that by grouping. Factor out of 2x, factor out of 3. That gives you 2x plus 3 times x minus 1 is equal to 0. If you set those both equal to 0 and you solve, you get that x is equal to negative 3 over 2 and x is equal to 1. So your x-intercepts are the ordered pairs, negative 3 over 2 comma 0, as well as 1 comma 0. Your y-intercept, your c tells you what your y-intercept is. It's that constant from your function rule. So that one is just the ordered pair 0 comma negative 3. For number 2, you have negative 4x squared plus 4x plus 3 as your function rule. For this one, again, your power is 2, so you're going to open up or open down both directions. You have a negative here, so that means that this opens down. We're going to find your vertex by using that h and that k. So your a is negative 4. B is 4, and C is 3. You can also pull your x-intercept or your y-intercept out from this, which is just 0, -3. So if we find our H is going to equal the opposite of B, which is 4, over 2 times A, which is -4. So that's giving us -4 over -8, which means H is -1/2. For K, that's C, which is 3, minus B squared, so that's 4 squared, over 4 times A, which is -4. So that's going to give us 3 minus 16 over -16. Double negatives turn into positives. 16 over 16 is 1. So 3 plus 1 gives us a K of 4. So our vertex is the ordered pair -1/2, 4. Axis of symmetry is your x value from your vertex. So x is equal to -1/2. Maximum or minimum is the y value from your vertex, so y is equal to 4. This graph opens down, so you have a maximum value at your vertex, so you need to circle max. Once again, this parabola, or quadratic function, automatically gives us a domain of -infinity to +infinity. Your range, you can use your y value or your maximum and your minimum. The y value is 4. It's a maximum, which means it goes down to -infinity and comes up to 4. X-intercept, we have to solve this, so we're going to take that -4x squared plus 4x plus 3, set it equal to 0, and solve. I'm going to factor out that negative first, so I'm going to turn everything into the opposite sign. So I'm going to work with 4x squared minus 4x minus 3 is equal to 0. For this one, your 4 times your -3 is -12. So 4 times the -3 is -12. Factors of -12 that add up to be -4 are 2 and -6. So we're going to rewrite this as 4x squared plus 2x minus 6x minus 3 is equal to 0. And factor this by grouping. From the first, you factor out a 2x. From the second, you factor out a -3. So that's 2x minus 3 times 2x plus 1 is equal to 0. Set them both equal to 0 and solve. You get that x is equal to 3 over 2 and x is equal to -1/2. So your x-intercepts are the ordered pairs 3 over 2, 0 and -1/2, 0. For number 3, you're given f of x is equal to x cubed minus 3x squared plus 2x. You're finding the end behavior, the zeros, and the multiplicity if there is any. If you look at this function, you have an x cubed. So your highest power is 3, which means one side's going to go up, one side's going to go down. It is positive, so your a is positive. So that means that this is going to open up and to the right, down and to the left. So your end behavior says that as you go to positive infinity, you are going up for y. So as x goes to positive infinity, y goes to positive infinity. And as you go to the left, your y goes down. So as x goes to negative infinity, y goes to negative infinity. Your zeros you're going to find by solving this. So take the x cubed minus 3x squared plus 2x, set it equal to 0, and factor it in order to solve. You can factor out an x first. That gives you x times x squared minus 3x plus 2 is equal to 0. From here, your factors of positive 2 that add to be -3 are -1 and -2. So that's x times x minus 1 times x minus 2 is equal to 0. You set everything equal to 0 and you solve. You have x is equal to 0, x is equal to 1, and x is equal to 2. So your zeros are 0, 1, and 2. The multiplicity, however, is none because you do not have any of your answers that reoccur. For number 4, you have g of x is equal to negative 4x squared plus 3x plus x to the 4th power. With this, it's not in standard form, so I'm going to put it in standard form. That would give us g of x is equal to x to the 4th power plus 3x cubed minus 4x squared. Highest power here is 4. The a to that x to the 4th power is positive, so this graph opens up and it looks like a U. So this is saying that as x goes to the right, your y goes up. As x goes to the left, your y goes up. So that means your end behavior and arrow notation means you have x going to positive infinity while y goes to positive infinity, as well as x goes to negative infinity as y goes to negative infinity, or sorry, positive infinity. To find your zeros, you're going to have to factor this. So we're going to take the x to the 4th power plus 3x cubed minus 4x squared, set it equal to 0, and solve. We're going to factor out an x squared first to give us x squared times x squared plus 3x minus 4 is equal to 0. From here, your factors of negative 4 that add up to be positive 3 are negative 1 and positive 4. So this factors to give you x squared times x minus 1 times x plus 4 is equal to 0. You have x is equal to 0 twice because of that power of 2. Then you have x is equal to 1 and x is equal to negative 4. So your zeros for this one are negative 4, 0, and 1. You have a multiplicity of 2 at x is equal to 0, which means that 0 occurs twice as an answer. For number 5, we're given g of x is equal to 9x to the 4th power plus 81 minus 54x squared. I'm just going to rewrite this in standard form to give us g of x is equal to 9x to the 4th power minus 54x squared plus 81. If we set this equal to 0 and solve, the first thing that we're going to do is factor out our greatest common factor, which is 9. So that's going to give us 9 times x to the 4th power minus 6x squared plus 9 is equal to 0. From here, we can factor this. That 9 has factors of negative 3 and negative 3 that add up to be negative 6. So this factors to give us 9 times x squared minus 3 times x squared minus 3 is equal to 0. We're going to set the 9 equal to 0, the x squared minus 3 equal to 0, and the x squared minus 3 equal to 0, and solve them. 9 is equal to 0, it's a false statement, so we're going to cancel it out, not work with it, forget about it. The x squared minus 3 is equal to 0, move your 3 over. You get x squared is equal to 3. From there, take the square root of both sides. You have that x is equal to plus or minus the square root of 3. This means that you have x is equal to the negative square root 3, as well as x is equal to the positive square root 3. Now, the other part that we didn't solve out is the same exact thing, which means x is equal to the negative square root 3, and x is equal to the positive square root 3. So your end behavior here, since your power, highest power is 4, and a is positive, we're moving up in both directions. So end behavior, as x goes to positive infinity, y goes to positive infinity, and as x goes to negative infinity, y goes to positive infinity. Your zeros, we said, are plus or minus the square root of 3. Your multiplicity, you have a multiplicity of 2 at x is equal to the negative square root 3 and x is equal to the positive square root 3. If we look at our next page, it tells us to solve using long division. So for this one, we have 2x cubed minus 11x squared minus 2x plus 2 divided by 2x plus 1. We look at our powers with each part. With the 2x cubed part, we have a power of 3, a power of 2, a power of 1, and a constant. All of our powers are represented. Same thing with the 2x plus 1. So we're going to put that 2x plus 1 on the outside. On the inside, we're going to have 2x cubed minus 11x squared minus 2x plus 2. We ask ourselves, 2x times what is 2x cubed? That's x squared. So we multiply the x squared by both the 2x and the 1, put it under the 2x cubed and the negative 11x squared. So 2x times x squared is 2x cubed. 2x times 1 is just, x squared times 1 is just x squared. We subtract these or add the opposites. The 2x cubes cancel. Negative 11x squared minus x squared is negative 12x squared. We bring our next term down, which is that negative 2x. From here, we ask ourselves, 2x times what is negative 12x squared? That's going to be a negative 6x. So negative 6x times 2x is negative 12x squared. Negative 6x times 1 is negative 6x. We subtract these, or again, add the opposites. The 12x squared cancel. Negative 2x plus 6x is 4x. We drop down our next term, which is at 2. So now 2x times what is 4x? That's 2. So 2x times 2x times 2 is 4x. Then 2x times 1 gives us 2. We subtract these, or once again, add the opposites. Everything cancels, so we have a remainder of 0. Because we have a remainder of 0, the only thing we need for our answer is that x squared minus 6x plus 2. For number 7, you have 15x cubed plus 37x squared plus 53x plus 55 divided by 3x plus 5. All of your powers from 3 to 0 are represented, and all of your powers in 3x plus 5 are represented. So we're going to put that 3x plus 5 on the outside. On the inside, we're going to put the 15x cubed plus 37x squared plus 53x plus 55. The 3x times 5x squared is 15x cubed. So we're going to have 15x cubed plus 25x squared. We subtract these or add opposites. 15x cubes cancel. 37x squared minus 25x squared is going to give us 12x squared. And then we bring down the 53x. Next, the 3x times 4x is 12x squared. So that's going to give us 12x squared plus 20x. We subtract these or add the opposites. 12x squareds cancel. 53x minus 20x is 33x. We then drop down the 55. The 3x times 11 is 33x. We multiply the 11 times 5 as well to get 55. We subtract these, add your opposites, everything cancels, so you have a remainder of 0 once again. So this is just 5x squared plus 4x plus 11. Remember when we went over your lesson with the long division, if you do have a remainder, that remainder has to be added to your answer and it goes over what you divided by. So let's say with this last question, number 7, that we've done so far, if you did have a remainder and let's say it was -3, your answer would just have plus -3 over 3x plus 5 added to it. For your next part, it tells you to solve using the remainder theorem, which means you're going to use synthetic division to divide. Whatever your remainder is your answer. So for example 8, we have g of x is equal to 4x to the fourth power minus 16x cubed plus 5x squared plus 9. You are missing the x on this. So with this one, you're going to have to rewrite it to give yourself 4x to the fourth power minus 16x cubed plus 5x squared plus 0x plus 9. So when you pull out your coefficients and your constant for your synthetic division, you're going to have 4, negative 16, 5, 0, and 9. So if you set up your synthetic division, for 8, you have g of negative 2, so that negative 2 is going to go on the outside. On the inside, you have 4, negative 16, 5, 0, and 9. We're going to pull down that 4 first, then multiply the 4 with the negative 2. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. We add that with the negative 16. That gives us negative 24. Multiply your negative 24 with your negative 2. That gives you positive 48. You add that with your 5 to give you 53. Next, multiply your 53 with the negative 2. It's going to be negative 106. Add that with the 0. That's negative 106. From there, multiply your negative 106 with your negative 2. Your 2 times 6 is 12. Carry the 1. 2 times 0 is 0 plus 1 is 1. And 2 times 2, or 2 times 1 is 2. Double negatives, so you add these two, and you get that 221 is your remainder, which is your answer. So g of negative 2 is 221. For number 9, we're going to use the same formula or same function, except we're finding g of 5. So to use your synthetic division, the same coefficients and constants, but your number on the outside is going to be 5 now. Whatever your remainder is, that's your answer. So 5 is going to go on the outside. On the inside, you have 4, negative 16, 5, 0, and 9. 4 drops down. 4 times 5 is 20. Add that with the 16, or the negative 16. You get 4. 4 times 5 again is 20. Add that with the 5. And you have 25. 25 times 5 is 125. Add that with the 0. That's 125. Multiply your 125 with the 5. That 5 times 5 is 25. Then 5 times 2 is 10. Okay, with the 2 is 12. And then 5 times 1 plus 1 is 6. So add that 625 with the 9, you get 634. So your 634 on this one is your answer. For 10 and 11, you are using synthetic division to find the quotient and the remainder of each of these. For 10, you have f of x is equal to negative 2x to the fifth power plus x cubed plus 5x minus 1 divided by x minus 3. You are missing your x squared on this one, so I'm going to plug in a 0x squared, or sorry, x to the fourth power too. X to the fourth power, as well as a 0 plus 0x squared. So this is going to give us the 3, because x is equal to 3, on the outside. Then on the inside, you're going to have negative 2, 0, 1, 0, 3, and negative 1. 2 comes down. Negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. Plus 0 is negative 6. Times 3 is negative 18. Plus 1 is negative 17. Times 3 is going to give us 51. Right? Yes. Negative 51. Plus 0 is negative 51. Times 3. 3 times 1 is 3. Times 5 is 15. So that's negative 153. Plus 3 is negative 150. Times 3 is a negative 450. Add that with the -1, and you have negative 451. That negative 451 is your remainder. The negative 150 is your constant. Negative 51 gets an x. Negative 17 gets x squared. Negative 6 gets x cubed. And negative 2 gets x to the 4th power. So this gives you an answer of negative 2x to the 4th power minus 6x cubed minus 17x squared minus 51x minus 150 plus negative 451 over x minus 3. For number 11, you have g of x is equal to 5x to the 6th power plus 3x squared minus 1, and you're dividing by x plus 1. That x plus 1 tells you that x is equal to negative 1. You're missing the x to the 5th, the x to the 4th, the x cubed, and the x. So we're going to have negative 1 on the outside. Then on the inside you have 5, then 0 because you're missing x to the 5th, 0 again because you're missing x to the 4th, 0 again because you're missing x cubed. Then your x squared has a coefficient of 3, 0 again because you're missing the x, and then negative 1. Five comes down. 5 times negative 1 is negative 5. 0 minus 5 is negative 5. Times negative 1 is 5. 0 plus 5 is 5. Times negative 1 is negative 5. 0 minus 5 is negative 5. Times negative 1 is positive 5. Add that with the 3. You get 8. 8 times negative 1 is negative 8. Plus 0 is negative 8. Times negative 1 is positive 8. Minus 1 is 7. So 7 is your remainder. The negative 8 is your constant. Positive 8 is your x. Negative 5 is your x squared. Positive 5 is x cubed. Negative 5 is your x to the 4th power. And then positive 5 is your x to the 5th power. So when you give this as your answer, you're going to have 5x to the 5th power minus 5x to the 4th power plus 5x cubed minus 5x squared plus 8x minus 8 plus 7 over x plus 1. For your last two questions, you're given a vertex and an ordered pair, and you're told to write the equation of the parabola in vertex form. Remember, from the beginning, your vertex form was f of x is equal to a times x minus h squared plus k. That will not be given to you tomorrow. So if you're given the vertex and the ordered pair, you're plugging in values. So your h comes from your x value from your vertex. Your k is the y value from your vertex. X is the x value from the point. In this case, f of x is going to be the y value from the point. You're finding a, then using a, h, and k to rewrite this. So you're going to have 7 is equal to a times negative 1 minus 2 squared plus negative 4. Inside, the negative 1 minus 2 is negative 3, so that 7 is equal to a times negative 3 squared minus 4. That negative 3 squared is 9, so 7 is equal to 9a minus 4. Move your 4 over, add it to both sides. That 7 plus 4 gives you 11 is equal to 9a. From here, move your 9 over by dividing it from each side, and you get that a is equal to 11 over 9. So if you were to write this in vertex form, you would have f of x is equal to a, which we said is 11 over 9, times x, you're not changing that out, minus h, which is 2 squared, plus k, which is negative 4. We don't want the positive and the negative next to each other, so we're just rewriting this in simplest form to give us f of x is equal to 11 over 9 times x minus 2 squared minus 4. For your last question, it tells you, given the quadratic in standard form, write the equation in vertex form. So yeah, you're going from standard form to vertex form. Use the formula that's in the beginning or the one above this to give yourself the vertex form. Your a from this is -3. B is 6. C is -4. We said to find your vertex, you need to find h, which is -b over 2a, and k, which is c minus b squared over 4a. If we work with h first, we're going to have -6 over 2 times -3, which is -6 over -6. That gives us an h of 1. If we work with finding k, that's going to give us -4 minus 6 squared over 4 times -3. That 6 squared is 36, so that's -4 minus 36 over -12. That gives us -3, so -4 minus -3, double negatives turn into positives. That means that k is -4 plus 3, which is -1. So your vertex is the ordered pair 1, -1. You need for your vertex form a times x minus h squared plus k. You have an a, which is -3. You have an h, you have a k. Plug them all in. That's going to give you f of x is equal to -3 times x minus 1 plus -1. Again, we don't like the positive and the negative next to each other. Don't forget your squared on your x minus 1. So that's going to give you f of x is equal to -3 times x minus 1 squared minus 1.